Okay. Now, when I was thinking this morning about, oh, what, there are so many different, aspects of what I could share. And one thing that lit me up that I took note of is this idea, the Tibetan Buddhist idea of Terma. Okay. And I just want to explain that a little bit because it's so psychoactivating. So Terma, it translates as hidden treasures. And the way to conceive of it in Tibetan Buddhism, like, the actual lineage that I've been doing practice in for 40 plus years, it has the Terma tradition is how this lineage keeps itself fresh. Whenever the community or the practitioners get a little one-sided or stale, all of a sudden one of these hidden treasures gets discovered, whether it's with a prayer, a teaching, a visualization, an object, and one way to think about it, it's like when you have a dream, and if you get one-sided in your own life, the unconscious compensates the one-sidedness and sends you a symbol. Okay, so these terma, a way to conceive of it is that there are these hidden spiritual treasures that will activate us, that are hidden, implanted in the multidimensional fabric of the universe, and exactly at the moment when they're needed. And it's a known archetypal thing, first off, that, the idea of that light is hidden and encoded within the darkness, and that it's in times of incredible danger and darkness that revelations emerge, okay? And that's what I'm pointing at, that we are in such an intense time, a dangerous time. There are so many ways that our species is actually participating in enacting collective suicide, and we all know that, we all sense that. And then the question is, what do you do? So what I'm pointing out is that, okay, there's this idea of Terma in Tibetan Buddhism, and it's not a fairy tale. Scholars have been studying this for years, okay? It's a real thing. And not just in Tibetan Buddhism, every spiritual tradition, they have the conception of that there are certain of these blessed objects or inspirations or visions or dreams or songs or music or artwork that all of a sudden will come into a person's mind, and then they'll be the intermediary, the instrument to bring that into the world, and that work of art or that hidden treasure will then affect other people. Okay, so in a sense, that's the other half from all the evil and the darkness and the mind virus and the horror of what's playing out. Is there something that's emerging that's available for all of us? And so I point out in my work, you see, so I'll just take a step back. Quantum physics, I don't know any physicist who doesn't agree that it's the greatest discovery ever in all of history in the realm of science. The controversy is, what does it mean? And I'm not a physicist, but I've, so been studying quantum physics for 40 plus years because it was actually describing this experience that I had fallen into 40 plus years ago, where all of a sudden it was like I had a quantum jump and I was living in a universe where stuff could happen that would, not that it could happen, that it was happening. Events, experiences in my life were happening that were completely impossible. That could only happen in a dream. And I was so ecstatic, and my mind was so blown, and my assemblage point, to use Castaneda's language, got so shifted. And I was, in my early to mid 20s, and I immediately got thrown in hospitals and told, oh, you're mentally ill, you'll have this illness the rest of your life. But I was very thankful that I knew, that I was having an awakening. So I never subscribed to the psychiatric viewpoint, and that saved my life. But I was beginning to have the realization of, oh my God, we're having a collective dream, and this dream is manifesting in such a problematic way because we've been all conditioned and programmed to dream it that way. Okay. And imagine being in a dream where you have lucidity, and imagine connecting with other people who are also lucid, and you come together and hang out and share notes and trip out on what you're realizing. And what you're realizing, I imagine, is that, oh my God, this dream universe we're in is manifesting in this way because we've been programmed and conditioned to dream it in this limited way, in a way that's killing us. But then the other half of that realization is, oh, we can dream it different. We can get in phase and in sync with each other, all based on our realization of who we're discovering we are, that we're not separate selves, but we're all parts of one another, and we can dream the dream different. And that's what our situation is. That's not just describing a night dream, that's our situation in the waking dream. In other words, we discover that we can actually step into and consciously participate in our own evolutionary process. Okay, so quantum physics, I point out, is a modern day Terma. It's offering us the solution to the mind virus, to the insanity, to the evil that's playing out in our world. But it's not just a revelation that you intellectually understand, it's a participatory revelation. Just like quantum physics is discovering, this universe is a participatory universe. We're not separate from it. We have to step into the realization and embody what quantum physics is showing us. In other words, that our nature is creative. And then we can actually, I don't want to appropriate the Tibetan idea of Terma, you know, but that's sort of the underlying template for that each one of us can, in a way, discover something like an analog of a Terma in our own lives, whether it's a vision we're having, or whether it's whatever, an artwork or an idea or a song. You see, because what happens when we open ourselves up and something, you could think of it as something higher dimensional comes through us. You see, when somebody discovers a terma, these figures were called tertons, and they were destined to discover, and these termas are quantum phenomena. Imagine they're hidden in the earth. Somebody could come and be right at that place and not see the terma. It would be invisible. The terma would render itself invisible if it's not the right person and if it's not the right time. It's only at exactly the moment it's needed. It's like these terma are alarm clocks hidden within the fabric of the dream that are programmed to wake us up. And the amazing thing is, we ourselves, our true nature, have planted the alarm clocks in the fabric of the dream. An example, like just a mundane example, if I tomorrow when I leave the house, oh, there's something I need to remember. Well, in this moment, I'll put a box of tissues in front of the front door. Okay, tomorrow I go out, I see the box of tissues in front of the front door. That reminds me, oh yeah, I need to bring that thing, right? Think about it. In this moment, I'm planting a clue in my waking dream that has a time release that I've set up, that when I encounter that clue, it's going to help me to remember something. What I'm pointing out is that the deeper part of us that's dreaming the dream has planted clues in the multidimensional fabric of our universe to help us to wake up, okay? That we are actually colluding with ourselves. We're participating in our own evolutionary process of awakening, and it helps enormously when we actually become conscious of that. Okay, so not only is quantum physics potentially a modern day analog to a terma, to a hidden treasure, but I just want to really, offer the thought form that we all can be these tertons, the discoverers of terma. But when a terma is discovered, and for example, even Wetiko is a revelation. You could think of it as a form of terma. I've been switched on to it for like 30, 40 years, not having the language at first. And the more I integrate the revelation that is this mind virus, the Wetiko mind virus, the more I'm able to transmit it in a way that actually helps people. So in the same way, when any of us discover our own particular terma and hidden treasure, in the tradition, it's definitely, pointed out that typically the terton, the discoverer, has to do the practice that the terma is offering and have the realization that the terma is freely offering. And when the discoverer of the terma actually gets it and realizes what the terma, the gift and the blessing of the terma, then they're in the process of being able to transmit it to others. And in my dream, we're all potentially discovering Terma, every single one of us, and it has to do with being creative, with our creative nature.